Good morning and welcome to Mental Toughness Monday. We're so excited to have you here. I'm at camp. I know Chris is traveling. Linda's back from traveling. And I just, whoever's catching the replay, you could be anywhere. We're just glad to have you here. So, all right, we are going to start first by talking a little bit, just a quick review about 31 champions are mentally engaged in the creative process. And any thoughts or activities this last week that has really touched you about being creative, because that's part of your nature and that's part of your nature as a champion. Any thoughts that you want to share this week?
I think it's so important to be creative. For me, it just helps, it lights me up to be creative and helps me
Yeah,
just, yeah, be happy. So
it's been
I'm guessing I'm not the only one that's like that.
no, because that's how we're created, right? We are created to create. So that is definitely a part of this. It's not, remember, champions discover these truths because they pay attention. It's not because they're smarter than everyone else. The masses are not mentally engaged. Their billion-dollar thought processing system is used for activities like watching television and figuring out how to travel the road of least resistance. I don't know if you remember. If you've raised children, you know that this is true. That if kids will put in even a portion of the energy that they put in to get out of doing their work, if they use all that creativity towards just getting their work done and doing something that they really want to do, it can have a very different impact on their life. And it's so fun when kids start to figure that out and you're like, yes, they got it. Makes your life easier, but it makes theirs way more fun. So that's awesome. All right, any other thoughts about creativity, being mentally engaged in the creative process? I loved that last week after we talked about that, we came up with the idea to create bingo night as a monthly event. And then we've got some great momentum going on that so far. And I think it will just get better and better every time we do it. So that was a clear moment of, can Mom get your face in here? It's a little bright on the sun is right behind us because it's coming up that way. But okay, great. So let's move on to number 32. Champions operate with a clear conscience. Again, 177 Mental Toughness Secrets of the World Class by Steve Siebold is the book that we are reading from. So this is a great one. The world class tends to rely on intuition and conscience much more often than the masses. While average people are more concerned with what other people think of their actions, professional performers answer to a jury of one, their conscience. One reason they're able to maintain such high levels of concentration and intensity is in their field of expertise is because they rarely carry mental baggage. With their conscience as their guide, champions often have greater mental clarity and internal focus than average people. Rotary International, an organization of business champions performing community service on a global level, has a great tool called the four-way test. The idea is for Rotarians to answer 4 questions before making a major decision. Number 1, is it the truth? Number 2, is it fair to all concerned? Number 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Number 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? The world class often follow such formulas in making important decisions. Champions know they can often fool other people, but they can never fool themselves. The amateurs pay a serious price for making decisions that are incongruent with their conscience, with their self-image. Oh, their self-image is the first thing that suffers. The great ones know it is too high a price to pay. Self-image expert Nathaniel Brandon says self-esteem is a reputation we acquire with ourselves. Being in touch and living by their conscience is a hallmark of mentally tough performers. Wow. Self-esteem is a reputation we acquire with ourselves. Josh Billings, 1818 to 1885, a writer. He said, reason often makes mistakes, but conscience never does. That's really powerful,
Wow.
isn't it? That's really powerful. Okay, any thoughts about champions operating with a clear conscience?
So when we do the right thing and we know that it's our conscience guiding us, we don't have the baggage we do when we make mistakes and are dishonest or unethical.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's really pushes us forward. It makes us have that momentum confidently to move along and get the things we need to do done.
Yeah, no, I love that. And the confidence that comes from following your conscience.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, that's excellent.
I love that too. And I feel like there's this internal war that can happen when we're going against our internal value, like our values. So like when, like you're saying, we can go forward with clarity and it's just, yeah, so much easier, so much more peaceful when we're,
Mental clarity and internal focus.
yes.
Yeah, no, I love that. What about the questions? How do you like the questions?
Oh, I like those.
Oh, I love those.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? So with the news this week of the release of Julian Assange, I've been thinking about the things that he did, the price that he paid, and the the way that he had to get off is he had to plead guilty to a conspiracy to leak classified information. I guess everything is up to a matter of opinions, but what he actually leaked was true. Um, it's definitely not fair for it not to be leaked, but I have to ask this question: does it build goodwill and better friendships, and is it beneficial to all concerned? And in the regard of information of things that are happening that shouldn't be happening, or that are undermining our freedoms, or that are undermining, I mean, what ended up happening is it was good that he was able to be released, but it was a blow um to the whole press. Like, the free press is not free.
Yeah.
12 years he spent in prison for telling the truth about criminal activities that were being done, and none of those criminals that he reported on have been even charged with criminal activity, and even more criminal activity occurred in keeping him keeping him in jail. So anyway, really, really interesting. But if you think about, will it be beneficial to all concerned, it's never beneficial to allow um, lies and wickedness to continue to prevail.
Corruption.
And corruption, right? That's not beneficial even to the people who, because those people are even going against their own conscience, right? So I think it's really important not to just like take those questions and be like, well, that's not really going to build goodwill because I'm exposing someone who's basically, corrupt and trying to cause problems for. And I think if you look down on a lower level, whether it's your family or your community or different things like that, there are places where you can unearth core intention and then work together to try to create better outcomes. But I just with that being in the news this week, he continued to operate with a clear conscience, and it has been, I mean, he was in solitary confinement for 7 years. I know. Can you imagine not being able to touch another human, to not be able to see the sun or feel the earth or any of that for 7 years? And um, many people in that situation in their lives, and probably in an understandably, because they can't see the end of it. But for whatever reason, and I will be really interested to hear the things that he has to say after the fact of how he kept himself from losing his mind. In that, like, he must have continued to have hope. His wife continued to fight for him. His wife is an attorney, and she did a lot of work. He had young children. He was able to see them, I think, once a month. I don't know if he was able to physically interact with them or if it was behind a glass wall. I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see those things. But you think about that um, internal focus, mental clarity and internal focus in the face of such odds. And there are many stories of these types of things throughout history where you can look at people who have courage to follow their conscience, and whether you agree with their conscience or not might be a different situation, realize with the difference between the people. But when you watch someone follow their conscience and you see that kind of tenacity and just consistency, persistence, like that's inspiring. That's inspiring. So, any other thoughts on operating with a clear conscience? All right. And if you're catching the replay, go ahead and leave some comments below. We'd love to hear what you have to say about operating with a clear conscience. So, all right. Action step for today. Ask this critical thinking question. Are all of my dealings congruent with my conscience? If the answer is yes, you empower yourself to success. If not, consider abandoning these deals or behaviors. Universal law dictates that whatever you sow, you shall reap. And sow, in case you're not familiar with this language, sowing is planting. So whatever seeds you plant, you're going to get that same fruit that comes from that seed. You can't get fruit from a different seed than you plant. So, all right. Thanks for being here. I will
Thank you.
stop the recording.